Hey, what's going on, guys? Tony here, CCxRC, and on the bench we have the ECX Brutus, and we've taken it apart because we're going to be going into the gearbox here and replacing the plastic gears that came in it, because as you saw in the first run video, after about 4 minutes they totally stripped out on one of the landings that I did. And you know, I'd questioned whether or not I was on throttle when I was out there, and didn't know what had caused it. But as I listened to the audio of the video, I don't think I did. So my tendency is in the air to be on throttle and then release, and you can kind of hear the motor start to wind down just before it hits, and then I jump back on it when I land. So that's what it sounds like to me is what happened. But regardless, something freak happened, and we blew out the gears in here. Now this is pretty easy to get the gearbox off of the truck itself. You have 4 screws that go in the bottom here, and then there were 2 that mount up into the top, and then another one from the side here that helps hold it in place as well. Underneath it, you can't see it here on the body, right here, and so you have one that goes through there and holds it in place. So it's pretty easy to get out. It wasn't that hard. And then there's 3 little screws that take off this side plate. And I was actually mentioning this spur gear cover, and how I thought it'd be nice if it was easier to access. Well, I didn't realize that you could just push up on that and you have quick access to your slipper if you don't tighten that down all the way. So there is that. I should just mention, because I didn't notice. Some people were telling me about how to maintain the slipper and all of that. And I have slippers in a lot of my cars, and basically the way that I tune them is to pretty much right where they won't do a wheelie. I don't want it to spin too much on takeoff. I just don't want it to be all wheels in the air all the time. But I do want to keep some of my acceleration. And so if that means that I have to upgrade my gears to metal gears because this can't take it, then that's just going to be what we're dealing with. So we've got it sitting here on our CowRC mat. I'm going to actually put some CowRC Udder butter on. This is what I like to put in my gearboxes and on my bearings. So while we have it open, we're going to do that. It's a basher vehicle. You could use like some of the other products that CowRC has to spray onto your bearings if you wanted, but we're going to use the Udder butter. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and put on some gloves just so that I don't get it all over my hands. And I'll make sure that I have some paper towel somewhere in here, which I should. All right, I did have to unplug the motor. I should mention the part number. It's the ECX 9001, and this is for the 2-wheel drive for pretty much all of the different ECX models, from the Ruckus to the Torment, all of those. So I think the Circuit was the other one. Anyway, comes with the gears here. I should mention that I also did pick up some MIP X Duty for the Stampede Wrestler and those. So I think that this will allow me to, you know, they're pretty much the same size here. This would allow me to upgrade to metal like we're doing, the metal gears, and not be blowing out the drive shafts here, the CVDs. So I'm not going to do that right away because I want to show you guys kind of the different things and see what it can take and if it is going to be a problem. So I don't want to just straight away go ahead and replace it. So this would be a later upgrade. I did go ahead and ordered RPM arms for this and some other parts. So we'll be doing upgrade videos on this vehicle. I just like RPM parts, so we're going to go ahead and put those on there. So those will be coming in the mail soon. But what we want to do first here is we're going to take apart our gearbox here, which I've barely got the screws in, and we'll get working in here, replacing all the gears. Missing gears, you don't know where they are. I mentioned this in another video. Always check your motor. It likes to magnetize everything to it. So I'm going to go ahead and take all these out and put them down here. And we're going to go ahead and open up the gearbox. There we go. Go ahead and set this here. Open our package here. This was $29.99. I bought these at my local hobby shop, where I like to shop in Virginia Beach. So I'm going to save this because this is still perfectly good condition. We'll put that to the side. I don't know what I'll need it for at this point. And then we'll put in our gearbox and just coat the gears on here. Coat my bearings. Semi-liberal amount. Don't want to have too much on there. Now we still have our gears in here. So if you notice, our top bearing is still on the gears. We'll pull the gears out. We're just going to take this out because we need to pop the bearings out. There's one. There it went. Go ahead and coat both of these before we put it in. There we go. Now the rod is still in there, so we're going to go ahead and just put some grease onto the gear. Slide it in. We have our last one that we have to take out, which is going to require removing our slipper. Put this just to the side here. Try not to get everything super greasy here. Now, we'll just push this through like so. Again, you can see how badly we damage these parts here. Now we've got to pop off this bearing. There it goes. And then find out which way we're going to slide. It actually looks like we're going to slide this off this direction based on the pin. Alright, so I'm not going to lie, but this piece did take a good whack with the hammer to get this off of here. I put my pliers over it like this and then hit with the hammer. Pow, popped it down. Really good whack. I'm going to use a little bit of grease. I'm not going to put my gloves back on because they're inside out, and this will kind of hold this in place so it won't fall out just by having a little bit of grease on there. While I go ahead and prep this. Now I wish I remember exactly the order that this all went in. I think got a curious cat. Gonna get all greasy kitty. And then there was a sleeve here. Slid on like that. And then we had a bearing on the top. We pried off at the beginning, like so. And then this goes through to our slipper on the other side. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of grease on here. Get the outside of the bearings. I made sure I got the inside when I was doing them. But I don't want too much. I don't want it to really slow it down. And that's where using some of the spray products are a little bit better, because you don't get that kind of friction that's caused by using grease. But again, for a basher, I am okay with it. Now what I'm going to do is wipe my hands off. We're just going to button this back up, make sure that everything lines up, make sure that we've got all of our bearings that we need. Everything's looking good. Press together. We're going to just kind of test it, make sure everything spins freely. Looks like we're good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just put these smaller ones in, screws, because I know that they just cinch it up. One of the top ones does kind of ride through another piece, and so I just want to make sure that I wait and do those at the end. Don't want to strip it out. I'm going to tighten down with this so I don't strip it out using the power tool. I'm going to go ahead and finish the other side. Put some grease on the inside of the bearing and on the outside. Alright, so I'm just moving this around, and there it is, sitting right there. Just kind of stuck onto the casing. So we're going to slide that down over our bearing. Then we're going to line this up. There's a flat spot on here that we just have to line up, like so. We'll put our spring on, and then we're going to grab one of our nuts here. Typically, I'm going to tighten it all the way down, and then I'm going to just back it off just a little bit to start with. I'll kind of get an idea of where I'm at. So that's tight. So go one, I'll do 2 turns for now. And I can always get in here and access that through this side, which we were just talking about. How I realized that that was an option. Make sure our gear mesh is still good. Looks great. Need to get my 1.5 right here. I'm gonna back these off, and then we're gonna reassemble everything now for you guys. All right, line this up. I put this on. We've got to reassemble the drive shafts, put those on. All right. What we're going to do next is reinstall this. So I got to take off these bottom 4 screws that I've just kind of put in here so I wouldn't lose them. It's kind of just what I do with things, is try to make sure that I know where they're going to go back, and so I try and put them where they should be whenever I can. So like the 2 screws that go on the top are actually here on the chassis right there. So we'll take out these ones. I'll line everything back up. Kind of slides in like so. And it literally drops in and locks in place, which is nice. So I do have these 2 top screws here, like I said, that were already in place. I just have to reseat them, and then we'll do the bottom ones. Yeah. So I can put this on here. We'll be able to twist it. So these are real simple to work on. That's the nice thing about 2-wheel drive. My favorite thing. All right, this one should be easier since I actually have this one lined up. There we go. Give it a little twist. Just to make this hole a little bit more accessible. There it is. Now again, these are what I'm talking about upgrading at a later point here. Alright guys, so I did look, these are the wrong ones for this particular vehicle, so I wouldn't have been able to upgrade it today anyway. I needed the part MIP11109. This is the 18150, and so this is for the front of the slash. So yeah, we'll have to put this onto the other truck and then do the proper one that we need for this. So not a big deal, since that wasn't what we were going to be doing in this particular video. Going to go ahead and reattach our motor wires here. There we go. And I also have a couple of other pieces that I have to still attach here. A couple of screws that we have neglected to put in, which is this top one here. I'm going to use this as a guide for my motor wire too. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten down the last couple screws to hold our gearbox together, and then put on the tires, just making sure that we have the tread the right way and that we have the spacers on the tires as well. So this is probably, if you're not doing a video, you could probably do this job in about 15 to 20 minutes would be my guess. Somewhere in that range. If it's your first time, it may take you a little bit longer. Don't need a whole lot of tools for this. You need the hex here for your tire, 7mm. You need a 1.5mm Hex Driver here for the few parts that you do have that are hexes, and you need a Phillips head screwdriver. I've never really had too many issues with my Stampede losing the wheel nut, and so I do not plan to Loctite this like I would some of my other vehicles. I'm not running brushless, and I don't think I'm going to have the power to really need it. Doesn't hurt. These are lock nuts, so it should be all right. Some of you guys just like to play it safe anyway, do it the proper way. All right, last one. All right, there you have it, guys. Brutus is back together. Should be good to go. We've got the old gear parts here. These plastic pieces are junk. This is still good, so I'll hold on to the main part of the diff there, and just in case maybe somebody else needs it, or yeah, I don't know exactly what, but we'll hold on to it, put in our baggie of parts that we have for the ECX, and we'll have the RPM parts coming as well. Some of you guys were asking about how well it cleaned down. I was pretty dirty, and you guys know that it took me a little while, an hour, to get out there running, a little bit over an hour, because I did moose slick this thing down, and as you can see, I hit it with the blower, and for the most part, everything just came right back off. It just kind of, whatever is still on there, I can get off real easily with just a little brush. But everything's nice and black looking. Usually it's got a coating of brown dirt on it, and so this is definitely looking good. So if you do take the time to clean your vehicles ahead of time or prep them for cleaning, it does make clean down a whole lot easier. Same with the body, it has a nice shine to it because we did moose flick it. I should have thought about it though, because I put my sticker on it at the end, and that little the slick texture on here, or whatever, the coating that it's got on there is not making it stick the best, so didn't think about that ahead of time. Anyway, guys, that's just a quick look at how you can put in the metal gear upgrade for this Brutus truck. I plan to do it regardless. I plan to do several upgrades to this to make it exactly how I want it to run. I may just keep it for like stock class type stuff. I think stock class is a lot of fun, and so I just want to be able to still thrash it, and so I will be doing some upgrades so I don't have to worry about breakages. Now the problem is the extra weight that those MIPs and those metal gears are going to add to the back end will probably have to be offset somehow in the front end to help keep the weight even, because we're getting more weight put to the back end, and so that just means putting a couple of the stick-on weights up front. So just something to think about, guys. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. As always, have fun RCing. We'll catch you next time.